All right, let's just dive in. Let's just talk about compliance. So, if you guys haven't dealt with this with your Go high level accounts yet, good for you. Your phone number might not have been flagged, or maybe your agency helped you take care of it. But basically, over the last couple years, Twilio has been communicating that there is a new registration requirement being implemented called A2P. And during the last couple years, there were multiple deadlines. We got Manny in the chat on Facebook. Oh, I think Manny's the one that asked about compliance. So, oh, cool. So I'll kind of dive into it, but Manny, I'm waiting for you to chime in on this. This was your topic, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So, anyways, compliance. So a couple years ago, they started saying, hey, these deadlines are coming. You're going to need to do this to register. You're going to need to do this. We as an agency, we took it really seriously. The first deadline that they implemented, again, that was probably 2 years ago. I want to say it was October of 2021 was the first deadline that they gave us. And then they said, just kidding, that deadline actually isn't going to be a deadline. And they did this like a week before the deadline was supposed to hit, after we had already put the infrastructure in place to get our phone numbers approved. They said, nope, just kidding. We are not going to do that. We got something. I'm trying, but can't join audio. Shit, man. I'm sorry to hear that, Manny. Oh, there we go. Boom. Manny's original message. Could we discuss best practices for setting up phone numbers for outreach in detail? My A2P settings recently failed, and I was wondering what you're doing when setting somebody up with a general number to use with the dialer and sending automated messages. So Manny, did you submit through Twilio, or are you using High Level's lead connector phone system where they do all of that stuff for you? If you can answer that, I might be able to give you more insight. It looks like he just disconnected and he'll hop back on, but it's all right. This is good information for everybody. The fact is like, if you haven't bought phone numbers and started to do this at scale, and you're planning on doing it, this is a problem you are going to run into. I guarantee it. So A2P, short story long, they changed the requirements, changed the target as far as the deadline a few times. They finally started actually penalizing. And this comes from the carriers. Like Twilio kind of gets the brunt of people's frustrations over this. But the way I look at this is like, Twilio's on our team, right? Twilio is a SMS programming interface. So anybody that uses a software that texts leads from or texts people from a actual phone number, Twilio is representing you basically to the carriers. Twilio is trying to make this as business friendly as possible, and the carriers are doing everything that they can to eliminate spam. And so these are kind of in conflict with each other. And so, yes, Twilio has communicated multiple deadlines and changed that on us, but I have no reason to believe that that isn't a direct reflection of like what Twilio is dealing with the carriers. But the point is there's a lot of cracking down on A2P stands for application to person texting. So A2P, application to person. So this is literally just programmatic text messaging, using text messaging in automation, use text messaging from a CRM, whatever. Like if that's how you're using text messaging, then Twilio is an advocate on your behalf, and the carriers are doing everything they can to limit the amount of spam that's coming from this functionality. And so with that, there's this new registration requirement that, again, has been talked about for a couple of years, but now actually affects whether or not your prospects, your leads, your customers, in some cases, are going to receive the text messages that you're sending to them. So one thing I want to highlight here is if you will know if your text messages are not getting delivered. High Level will have a little red triangle that basically says your message failed right next to your message, and you're going to be able to see. And I don't have the error messages pulled up in front of me. I can't tell you exactly what error messages mean what, but you can Google Twilio error code messages, and they will align with the message, the error codes that you see when you hover over that little red message failed icon. Okay. So I say that because I don't want you to watch this and you've never had a message fail or whatever, and you start freaking out thinking all of a sudden you're going to. If you haven't had to deal with this yet, odds are it's either been taken care of for you, your number's never been reported as spam, you got lucky, whatever it is. As long as you don't plan on rolling out new phone numbers in new accounts, then you probably won't have to deal with this. But don't watch this and think, oh shit, there's my customers aren't getting my texts and this is why, unless you have actually seen messages fail in high level. That's what this is referring to. I'm going to check really quick. Manny says he's driving. Forgot about spring break, so I'm out with family. He switched to LC and tried it that way. Okay, so just so you know, if you use LC, if you use the lead connector phone system, you're still using Twilio, or maybe it's not Twilio, maybe it's a different provider, but you're still going to be subject to all the same registration requirements. It's just a question of who's dealing with it for you. So under the lead connector phone system, you're going to be subject to whatever like high levels turn times are for dealing with these issues. So you're going to go like basically high level is going to deal with the carriers for you, and then you're going to deal with high level. Now, no offense to high level, but like if I have the opportunity to remove high level as a middleman for anything, I do it instantly, because I know that my team internally can handle, can get shit done faster than a team that's handling thousands of requests from thousands of different people. So we have not switched to the lead connector phone system. We use Twilio. So that will impact how much feedback I can give you on this, specifically to Manny, who is using the lead connector phone system. What I can tell you is what we do inside of Twilio in order to make this work. So there's a couple different things that you have to look out for here. And again, these requirements have kind of changed and are still changing. I think just a week ago, we got a notification that their program for sole proprietors is now live. And so that was yanked like 6-8 months ago. That was yanked where like if you didn't have an EIN number, you could not go through this process, not with your own social, not with anything. You had to have an EIN number in order to register your phone through Twilio, your phone number through Twilio and through the carriers, and make sure that your phone number does not get, your text messages don't get filtered and blocked as spam. That's what you had to do. Okay. So, anyways, that's no longer the case. Now, I don't know that, like, again, this was announced like a week ago. We haven't dove too much into it. We built our processes around helping our clients either get EIN numbers for their own businesses if they don't have them yet, or leveraging our EIN as a way to do it. And so there's a lot of different hoops that you got to jump through in order to make this happen, and hoops that we've jumped through in order to find, okay, this is our standard process. One thing I want to throw out there is you have, when you register your campaign, now the process, the step in the process that takes a whole bunch of time now is the campaign registration. So you have within Twilio, here, let me pull this up. This is probably gonna be easier for me to demonstrate on screen. So we are in the Trust Hub inside of Twilio. So this is going to be primarily for people that have like their own agency that they're doing this under, or even if you want to see like how your agency is fucking up and not helping you with this stuff, then I can, then that's what this is for as well. But my point is like, if you're an individual loan officer, and you're signed up through an agency and you've never seen a failure on your text messages, then you probably don't need to worry about this. But that said, there are some people that are managing their own phone numbers. So in here, I am inside the sub account. So again, all this is set up like an agency. So I have a master account, and then every account that I add, every high level account that we open, they get their own sub account so that we can track usage separately, register for campaigns separately, so that, your shitty text message practices don't affect a loan officer that we have that's doing really well and protecting the reputation for their phone number. That's the reason for that division. From within a sub account within Twilio, it's the Trust Hub that houses all of this, and then A2P messaging is where you'll go to be able to do the registration. So all I wanted to show in here is that there's basically 3 layers to the hierarchy. You have a brand, and then you have let's see, that is the campaign. We have a brand, a campaign, and I thought there was a higher level to the hierarchy as well. Maybe it's just two. Maybe it's just two. Maybe it's just the brand and the campaign. But basically, getting the brand is super, super easy. Very easy to get verified. You'll get it registered and verified. You'll get this green light right away. It's the campaigns that are taking forever right now. The campaigns, our turn times that we're seeing on the campaigns are like 2 to 3 weeks. What you're waiting for is for this green light to say verified. So you'll see it's like pending or awaiting verification or something like that. I can't remember exactly what the status is, but that's where you'll see it sit for the longest. This step, registering campaign, right? So I'm going to click register new campaign here so that you guys see what this is the step that is going to screw you. This is the step that if you don't do this right, you'll wait 2 to 3 weeks for Twilio to tell you that they're not going to register your campaign, or the carrier to say that they rejected your campaign. Again, trying to choose my words carefully here, because there's already this perception that like Twilio is the problem. Twilio is not the problem. The problem is the carriers. So I'm trying to change my verbiage a little bit there. But basically, this is where we're going to come in and we're going to select a use case. So understand these different use cases, right? Is this customer care? Is this delivery notification? Now, note, by the way, these $10 a month, like none of these charges used to exist. All these charges are being eaten by your agency, or you if you have your own agency. So just know and understand that. But basically you've got, marketing, right, is an option. You have mixed. So this would be like customer care, delivery notification. So like this would be a lot of loan officers, honestly, like somebody that uses this system not only to communicate with prospective clients, but somebody that's communicating with past clients and maybe even clients that are in process. That immediately makes you a mixed use case, right? Now I'm highlighting this because some of these require carrier review and some of these do not require carrier review. So technically some of these should be taking less time than others. So the more you understand about what your use case is and how you can pitch that, basically, like imagine you're pitching a scenario to an underwriter and the guidelines say something that allows some room for interpretation. That's kind of what we're looking for here, is like, okay, where's our room for interpretation? For us, that's this low volume mixed right here. Most of our customers are A-okay with all of the limits that are imposed at the low volume mix. We have maybe one or two clients that send enough messages that we need to step it up beyond that. Now, the value of using this low volume mixed is two things. Number one, we're telling the truth. Like this is can be used to send messages of multiple use cases, such as customer care and delivery notification, or marketing, right? Marketing, that's what we're looking for. And it's on the lowest throughput tier. So this is like, if you're sending hundreds of text messages at a time, then you might not want to do this. But again, for 99% of loan officers in their use case, this low volume mixed category is the one that they want. Okay. So low volume mix is going to subject you to a lower level of scrutiny. It's going to cost you less. And I think it's going to take you less time to register. And I say I think because this new registration process that's taking 3 to 4 weeks right now, 2 to 4 weeks, whatever it is, that new registration process didn't exist 2 months ago. So it's hard for me to say any of this stuff like definitively going forward is always going to be this way, because it's not reality. This is changing so much all the time. And it's frustrating for me to try and keep track of, let alone for loan officers who have to actually originate loans and manage a pipeline and so on. So when you come in here, right, again, Twilio's on your side. Twilio is on your team. If you submit something that the carriers don't like, there is not a limit to the number of times that you can try again. So don't be afraid to to look for that gray area that subjects you to like a lower level of scrutiny. So campaign description, right? Don't just say you're texting mortgage leads. Like spice it up a little bit, right? Sweeten it up a little bit. Tell them you're texting individuals, texting people, right? Not leads, but people who have inquired on your website about finding out how much home they can qualify for. Like you can try and avoid using the word mortgage entirely if you can. Okay. And it's not, again, this isn't you just want to understand how this stuff works. A lot of this stuff is going to be subjected to scrutiny through a machine, an initial machine reviewing all of this information, not an individual looking at this and trying to interpret what your campaign description says. So the more you use hot button words like mortgage or home loan or borrower or credit or anything like that, the more likely your shit is going to get flagged, and it's going to take you longer to get your stuff approved. There's nothing like, you are not the problem. You are not who the carriers are trying to shut down here. Okay. The problem is the people that send massive spam texts to thousands of people at a time and are trying to, steal your grandma's money by pretending to be the Nigerian prince. Like, those people are the problem. Like, real scammers are the problem. And those are the common enemy between you and the cell phone carriers. So make this on the up and up, right? You don't want to lie. You don't want to bullshit. You have nothing to hide. Okay. Make this as forthcoming as possible, while also keeping in mind how a machine that is interpreting this data is going to interpret this data. So again, avoiding hot button keywords and finding ways to word what it is that you're doing in such a way that you tell what you're doing and that you're not bullshitting what you're doing. But at the same time, you're not highlighting, hey, I'm a mortgage company sending text to mortgage leads, right? Like, you put it that way and it's going to be hard to get your stuff approved. Not that you won't be able to, but you're going to have to do a lot of explaining, documentation, etc. Whereas the more you can make this pretty for them and easy for their machines to interpret and say, yes, this is good, the less likely you are to deal with the bullshit. So that is my take on A2P campaign, like, and setting this up. Again, this is, not super technical and in depth and in detail. I've got no information for how you manage this on the lead connector side. Lead connector phone system, as opposed to doing this through Twilio. I have no idea how you would do it there. I'd imagine a lot of this stuff is similar, but I've never dealt with that. So that is A2P compliance in a nutshell, super high level. Again, any questions that anybody has more in depth on this, feel free to drop them in the, you can come join the Zoom room, ask them there, drop them in the Facebook Live, the feed there. Whether you're watching this as a recording or you're watching this live, I don't care. We want to hear your questions. It gives us stuff to talk about, gives us content to put together and put in front of you guys. And that's what we're looking for. We want to make this as valuable for you as possible. Speaking of, how about the growth in our group right now? So we are at like 176 members or something like that. I think it was 3 weeks ago that we crossed 100. We're not freaking trying to set a world record anytime soon or anything like that. But to me, it's exciting because we're trying to be as intentional as possible about only adding loan officers that are either using Go High Level currently or super interested in using Go High Level. Like, we don't want this group to be valuable for people outside of that, only so that we can keep the content as relevant as possible. And something I've been thinking a lot about is the network effect and how that works in our favor as loan officers, as mortgage professionals leveraging Go High Level. How does that work in our favor? Well, we have something that's working against us, which is that we don't have one company that says, this is our product, stands on top of the mountain, spends all the money to be at all the mortgage events, all that shit. We don't get that. Okay. We don't get that kind of growth, but at the same time, like, that kind of growth hasn't necessarily served us. Like, those types of companies are out there. You've got Total Expert, you've got Top of Mind, Surefire, you've got Sherpas in that umbrella somewhere, right? All the Black Knight companies. I think I think that's a Top of Mind these days. My point is like, that model, that infrastructure, that way of doing things is already like run its course, and it hasn't benefited us as originators as much as this model is, which is basically like, the number of loan officers using High Level, as it increases, the value that we can bring to each other and how we can leverage this amazing platform. The more loan officers we have using High Level, the more people we have in this group, the more people we have spitballing ideas. And the cool thing is like, what CRM you use is not a competitive advantage. Now, how you use that CRM, sure, that's a competitive advantage. What marketing platform you use for your business, like, nobody says, oh, I don't want to sign up for this marketing platform because there's 5 other loan officers in my area that all use that same marketing platform, because it's a blank canvas, right? There's nothing that says that because you have 100 loan officers in your market using high level, that you can't also use high level to differentiate yourself in your market. There's nothing that says that. And that's amazing. That is really, really powerful, because we get to benefit from inviting other loan officers that we hear talking about Go High Level. You hear somebody mention Go High Level, bring them into this group. Let's build this group. Let's make this group as big as possible with relevant members that are solving real problems in their mortgage business, so that they can help us solve the same problems that we are inevitably going to face as we go through our business, using Go High Level as a platform to do it. Appreciate you watching. For those of you guys that are watching this recorded, appreciate it. Manny, I appreciate you taking time out of your family vacation, your spring break, to jump on and ask the question that you did. Give us a little background into that, leading into the A2P situation and cell phone carrier compliance. If you have more questions on this, feel free to follow up with me personally, or hop on next week's Zoom room. But until then, guys, thank you for watching. We'll see you at the top.